Tonight on Elon Local News.
After the storm, Florence spares Elon, leaving campus with minimal damage.
Committed to health, emergency personnel around the county are answering the call to help the community and beyond.
And filling time, how some students kept busy this week on their days off.
All that and more.
Elon Local News starts right now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you're watching Elon Local News. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Today is September 17th. I'm Alex Hager.
And I'm Rachel Ellis. Tonight we are feeling Florence's effects across the Carolinas. You know, we may have not been directly hit at Elon, but we're definitely feeling for everyone across North Carolina and Virginia tonight.
There's a lot of people really feeling the effects, especially near the coast. And the storm is still over the United States, and Jack Norcross joins us live in the studio for more on that system. Jack, what can we expect from what's left of Florence?
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Well, it looks like we are in the clear for now, but it's not done yet. It's going to go up into New England, into the New England area, and then out back into the Atlantic, where it'll strengthen again into a tropical storm. Right now it is a tropical depression, excuse me. Rather, this is a projection. Now, talking about some of the areas that were hit harder, Fayetteville being one of them. Look at this flooded river right here. You can see the trees practically underwater almost, and a lot of people watching and taking pictures just cannot believe how much and how high the river waters are. Taking a look at traffic now, a lot of people coming in tonight and even into tomorrow. Not too much in terms of north of the Carolinas, but as you look east, just east of Raleigh, we see 95 is shut down there, and that is due to flooding. Talking about today, it was the first time we've seen sun in days, which was nice. Very sunny here in Elon. The downtown area was actually bustling as people finally started to make their way back to campus. Now, looking into the future, we are actually going to see mostly sunshine, which should be nice. Tuesday, mostly PM showers. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, mostly sunny. Highs in the mid to upper 80s, lows in the mid to upper 60s. So it should be a really nice week. It'll make up for last week for many in our community. That's all for now. Alex, I will send it back over to you.
Thanks, Jack. For all of our Florence coverage, check out our website, elonnewsnetwork.com. And with classes set to resume tomorrow, students are heading back to campus today. While Elon was not directly impacted by Florence, Vice President of Student Life John Dooley is still firm in the decision to strongly encourage students to evacuate campus last week.
Whenever you are facing any kind of an emergency situation, they're all unique, and so you can never be prepared for all of the little intricacies of what may take place. But I think in terms of having a general framework for response and following through on that, I think that we were as prepared as we possibly could have been.
And despite the classes canceled for the hurricane, Dooley says that fall break has not been changed and will continue as planned.
Her home is in Wilmington, but her heart is with her family and faith. I spoke to one Elon student coping with the destruction of her community by holding on to her roots.
I lead my life by people rather than anything else.
It's not just a mantra for freshman Lily Santiago, but a way of life, holding on to the people and memories that matter most in Wilmington.
Whenever something bad happens, I always think, but how much more upset would I be had this happened?
Rather than the items on her shelf.
I'll probably just keep the pieces.
Santiago still unsure about her home's condition, but has faith that the people she loves will get her through this hard time.
Communities that make you feel happy, you know, that bring you some sort of joy, I think you should go back to that.
For Santiago, it's the Jewish community at home and at Elon helping her weather the storm.
The thing I love about Judaism or about Jewish people is that they always, a lot of the time they lost everything and they built themselves back up.
This faith bringing Santiago back to her core values and beliefs in the face of disaster. Chabad Elon Jewish Student Center Rabbi Mendy Minkovitz says regardless of religious background, times of loss reminds us to put life into perspective.
An incident that makes you lose so much of that And you find yourself that suddenly you went from being the man who had the most or the woman who had the most to being a person who now has nothing.
Dealing with this hardship, Santiago finds comfort in her faith.
When I'm so scared, like especially like in my dreams and stuff, like if I get like really, really scared, like I'll start saying the Shema.
And believing these prayers will make their way back home.
Wilmington, I think, is going to be okay.
With the power of hope in a community. Rachel Ellis, Elon Local News. Santiago stayed on Elon's campus this week and has not seen any aftermath photos of her home at this point.
More than 350 students are heading back to Elon on shuttle buses arranged by the university. According to Dean of Student Development Jodine Schmeiderer, the shuttles were driven by biobus drivers and Mosley Center student staff volunteers. Sophomore Daniela Rodrigo came back from Orlando, where she says she enjoyed a break at Disney World. Rodrigo says communication from the school could have been more direct.
I think that they could have sent maybe more direct. I think it was kind of unclear as to whether we should evacuate or not. They were kind of sending mixed signals, and they kind of told us last minute, which was unfortunate. But I mean, they sent updates twice a day, which was helpful.
Elon freshman Scott Byron also left campus following John Dooley's email to leave ahead of the storm. Byron says even though campus didn't get hit hard, he doesn't regret leaving.
I wasn't prepared to go. It was kind of like a last-minute thing, and I didn't book my flights, but it was kind of with my parents.
The last shuttle will be leaving Tuesday at 11 a.m.
And as Florence leaves the Carolinas, physical plant staff are working to pick up remaining storm debris. Our Cami Banky has the story. As the blue sky reappears, Elon's physical plant staff are now preparing for students' return after Hurricane Florence.
Overall, we were very pleased with the response of our folks.
Director of Physical Plant Tom Flood says he and his team felt they were well prepared ahead of the storm.
Given the nature of the storm, long in coming and slow to get here, we had a lot of time to really think out the details and evolve our plans of response.
With the remnants of Florence headed northeast, Flood says there's still work to be done.
We got to get back in business and have everybody back.
While Physical Plant is cleaning up what's left from the storm, one student says she can't wait any longer for everyone to return to campus. Freshman Caitlin Yell chose to stay on campus throughout the storm and says she's ready to jump right back into where she left off.
It's been long. I felt like I've been here for months.
And just weeks into her first year at college, she says the hurricane may knock some off course.
Coming to college is a brand new experience, and then you're not really living in college anymore for a week because of a hurricane. I think it's maybe whiplash.
Flood says his staff is committed to getting the community back on track.
These people care, from the environmental services, custodial staff, to groundskeepers, to the plumbers. They care about the place and they care about what they do, and they're very proud of it.
Taking the lessons learned and preparing for whatever may come next. Cami Banky, Elon Local News. Flood says he does not yet know the total cost of the storm preparation.
Yom Kippur, one of the holiest Jewish holidays, begins tomorrow evening. Rabbi Sandra Lawson says this is a holiday of self-reflection and making amends.
If I hurt someone or if I wrong someone, our tradition says that we have to go to that person and we have to seek forgiveness from that person. And so it's really humbling to think about, to spend these 10 days or this month leading into the holiday, thinking about who you may have wronged or who you may have hurt.
Rabbi Lawson says any students who are back can celebrate the holiday on campus, but she isn't sure how many have returned.
If students went home during the hurricane, they would probably stay. But a lot of them are really worried about classes and they're stressed out, and so they want to check on their friends. They're worried about their friends.
Celebrations for Yom Kippur begin tomorrow at 7:30 in Whitley Auditorium. Rabbi Lawson says the entire Elon community is welcome.
And coming up, we'll give you the latest on what was canceled or postponed due to Florence.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Following the storm, parking and towing operations are back to normal. Due to the threat of flooding, students were allowed to park in any student lot while the university was closed. Students are now advised to return their cars to the correct lot.
Although Elon football didn't play this weekend due to the storm, the team moved up 2 spots in national polls released today, now up at 12th in the country. A new date has yet to be announced for the postponed game against William & Mary.
And it's not just sports games that have been canceled this week. Florence moved several events out of their intended time slot. September marks the beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month at Elon. The kickoff event in front of Lakeside has now been postponed. And more information about the month can be found at College Coffee tomorrow.
And Alan Dershowitz, a speaker for the Distinguished Leadership Lecture Series, has also been postponed. Dershowitz will share his reflections on current events, the future of civil rights, and his skepticism of the Russian interference in the 2016 elections. For a full list of events that are being rescheduled, visit the university's website.
For some students returning to campus today, Hurricane Florence wasn't the only disaster they had to escape. Our Megan Lynn reports.
I expected to go home and just relax in my bed for 4 or 5 days and just do my homework, but it ended up taking a complete twist.
Freshman Caroline Graham grew up in Andover, Massachusetts. That's where she went Tuesday to escape Hurricane Florence. Now, she says she wishes she stayed on campus. There were over 60 gas explosions in Andover, North Andover, and Lawrence, Massachusetts, with fires damaging and destroying dozens of homes. Fellow freshman and Andover resident Leo Brother was on a train to Charlotte when he got the news disaster had struck back home.
I wasn't sure how big of a deal it was until I was watching national news broadcasts that were tracking the hurricane, and then they took time out of the hurricane broadcast to bring up these gas explosions. And that's when I started to get nervous.
Back in Andover, Graham was at the mall with her mom when she got a phone call from the police department that they needed to evacuate immediately. They quickly drove home to get their dog.
My mom went in. I stayed far away from the house, and my dog was right at our door barking, and our whole neighborhood smelled like gas. So my mom thinks that she might have smelt it and knew something was wrong.
Both Graham and Brother's homes were safe. Over 8,000 homes had their gas meters turned off and had to wait for the fire department to give the all clear. Graham and Brother's families both had to spend the night at friends' homes. When Graham and her family returned home Friday, she says they still didn't feel entirely safe.
Part of me was how do they really know? It's fine. But I just stayed downstairs, kind of did my homework by the door just in case if anything ever happened. I had a clear exit out.
Brother says before the explosions, he took his home for granted. Now he says he's grateful and has deeper sympathy for those whose homes were damaged or destroyed in Hurricane Florence.
Every birthday party I've ever had, all the friends I've had over there, the memories I've created, graduation parties, family reunions, you name it, it was there. So just thinking back on it now, I don't want to lose any of that.
Megan Lynn, Elon Local News.
The National Transportation Safety Board says it's investigating the Columbia Gas Company, which is linked to these explosions. The investigation may last up till 2 years.
And to keep you up to date, we have Anton Delgado live in the newsroom to tell us what we can look out for in this week's edition of The Pendulum. Anton.
This week we have a very special edition of The Pendulum that'll be an 8-page of Hurricane Florence and the effects that she had on our campus. We'll be taking a closer look at the effects that Hurricane Florence had on freshman Lily Santiago, who you were just introduced to moments ago. And here is a sneak peek of Jack Haley's story that'll be debriefing all of the effects that Hurricane Florence had on our fall sports. Lastly, we'll also be taking an in-depth look on Tom Flood, the leader of physical plant who were on the front lines of Hurricane Florence here at Elon. And as you can see, our news is fresh and ready for the press. So make sure to grab a copy of this week's edition of The Pendulum coming to stands near you on Wednesday. Back to you two in the studio.
Thank you, Anton. Coming up, we talk to first responders lending a helping hand.
And we have a recap of Elon's biggest stories from Florence in 90 seconds. That's all after the break.
We've been here the past few days bringing you all the news you needed to know about how Florence affected Elon. In case you missed our coverage, here's a recap.
Today, let me be clear. North Carolina is taking Hurricane Florence seriously, and you should too. Get ready now.
Plan for the worst and hope for the best. In this scenario, everything is on the table.
Florence is messing with the wrong school. They're messing with the wrong university. They're messing with the wrong state. Florence is messing with the wrong students.
Elon seemed more like a ghost town today after 2,000 students fled campus following suggestions by John Dooley.
These are the kind of decisions you can never second guess after you've made them.
I think everybody is a little on edge. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen.
People ask me like, oh, you're going home, right? And then I tell them, no, my home is in Wilmington.
I think it'd be really scary if I didn't have a home.
The town of Elon says they're taking the storm very seriously. They declared a state of emergency for the town. A group of local inmates lending a hand to the Red Cross as Hurricane Florence makes its way towards our area.
Trust me, I've lived here all my life, so this isn't the first hurricane that I've seen. There's been much more worse than what you see today. I mean, this is nothing.
After several days of on and off drizzle, it seems that we're finally getting some consistent rain from Florence.
There's not much damage done to the campus, with mostly small puddles, sticks, and twigs on the ground.
While Elon University worked to protect students, others in our area assisted those more directly impacted by Florence. Our Christian Galvano has more.
First responders in Burlington are working to help those affected by the hurricane, while Alamance Regional Medical Center put together an emergency management team to properly communicate with first responders. The Burlington Fire Department sent firefighters to aid those near the coast.
We're the lucky ones in the state to not get the full effects of and damage from the hurricane. We're in a much better position to send our resources now.
The Deputy Fire Chief of Burlington, Matt Lawrence, received a phone call for help from the eastern part of the state. 4 of his firefighters left the Burlington area to head to Newport and help.
We're really proud of them for stepping up, and especially in this time of great need in our state where eastern North Carolina has tremendous impact.
While the Burlington Fire Department is going to help flooded areas, those at Alamance Regional Medical Center are helping those from the coast. Chief Nursing Officer and member of the emergency management team, Laverne Delaney, says their main priority is to make sure their patients are safe and healthy.
And when that happens, it makes you say, okay, how are we going to make sure our community is safe, and how can we make sure we provide what we need for our patients?
Firefighter Adam Doss says that first responders' ability to help come from good communication and standing together.
Guys, girls, we're all family here. We all work good together.
One thing is certain. These first responders are committed and refuse to take a day off.
I'm going to always be here. I'm going to be there for my community and my hospital.
Christian Galvano, Elon Local News.
Emergency management teams at Alamance Regional are staying in place after the storm has passed.
So maybe Elon didn't get the powerful winds and rains that were once predicted, but with classes canceled and much of campus closed, students were looking for ways to stay busy. Our Luke Stoddard has more.
I've just been spending my time in the dorm, just like eating, going out, and doing homework.
Lots of homework, Netflix. That's probably about it.
We went to Asheville to stay at our friend's grandparents' house, but then the storm was hitting Asheville too, so we came back.
We played Fortnite and What Do You Meme? A couple people came over, we played that.
I live in Rhode Island, which is like pretty far away, so it would have been more hassle than it's worth to go back home, and it would have been super expensive. I live super close. I live near Raleigh, so I mean, it was gonna be the same no matter what, and I mean, there's gonna be a generator here, assuming.
We didn't really plan for it as well as we thought we did. If it actually ended up being bad, because we ran out of like batteries and toilet paper right away.
Have you been bored?
Yeah.
It's fun. I'm not that bored.
We just got a new futon. That was pretty exciting.
Yes, I have been bored.
It's literally a ghost town here. There's nobody here.
Yes. I'm so bored all the time. I like started cleaning.
For more of our coverage, check out our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
And after the break, we talked to one woman who stayed at this shelter. You're watching Elon Local News.
The Red Cross is operating about 150 shelters for Hurricane Florence evacuees across the state of North Carolina. The Burlington shelter had no air conditioning and closed on Saturday, and the Lamb's Chapel in Haw River was too small for the Red Cross's liking. But Alamance County has another option. Our Selena Guevara was there.
The shelters that were in Haw River and Burlington both got moved here to the Graham Recreation Complex over the weekend. The Red Cross director said it's in order to consolidate resources and have one bigger space. Right now, there's about 20 people here, but it can hold up to 200.
It's good for the heart to see that much caring and love in one building under one roof, other than church. Because you sure don't see that when you go to the market.
A community of caring. That's what Graham resident June Van Riper found here. She left her apartment where she lives alone and has been staying at Red Cross shelters since Thursday night.
It's been fun. If you can say that a disaster can be fun like this.
She says the company can lighten her mood.
And the children, it look like there's nothing wrong in the world. They're just as happy as they can be.
And she's really impressed with how efficiently the workers have set up facilities.
Language wasn't needed because they just knew what to do, and they were going back and forth like this, just like ants do in a colony.
Gail Barnetti, who's the volunteer in charge of the Graham shelter, says it's a team effort.
We have so much support in Alamance County, it's unbelievable.
Local restaurants have donated meals, Walmart donated pillows, and the county gave blankets. A mix of Red Cross volunteers and paid county employees and social workers are making the shelter run smoothly.
They're little busy little bees, you know.
But kindness doesn't get lost in the work.
And always a smile.
The shelter will be open tonight, and the director said she's not exactly sure when they plan on closing. While a lot of the locals have gone home, she said there's new clients who evacuated from the coast but are running out of money to stay in their hotels and motels. In Graham, I'm Selena Guevara, Elon Local News.
51 Civil Air Patrol cadets stayed last night in this shelter. They left this morning to drop pods of food and supplies to people who are stuck in flood zones. If you'd like to help, you can call the director at 336-213-2013 and drop donations off at the Graham Recreation Center. Student Emily Calvin is also selling hurricane relief t-shirts at Elon for $20.
That's all the news we have for you today. Thank you for joining us.
You can find more of our storm coverage on elonnewsnetwork.com.
Have a good night, Elon.